Shloka 31. Name 284 is Amrtamsudbhavah. Can anyone work out what that means just by hearing it? I don't expect any of you to do. If we had some Sanskrit scholars here, they might be able to do so. It sounds very nice, doesn't it? What do you think? Amrtamsudbhavah. Amrtamsudbhavah. It's very poetic sounding. Amrita means nectar. And Angshu means rays. So nectar rays means the moon. And Udbhavaha means, anyone? Generator, yeah. The source of, yeah. Udbhava, Sambhava. That one devotee is in Nanda Gokulam. I got that name from one stuti of Shankaracharya, Nanda Sambhava. Name of Krishna. He's born from Nanda. Sambhava, Udbhava. These words, if you read the Sanskrit in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, you'll gradually get to know all these words. So he is the source of the rays of nectar. But Amritangshu means the moon, means nectar rayed. So that can be a name for Krishna. He is the moon. And Udbhava can also be a name. So this can be two names. Actually, it could be three names. And probably if there was a good Sanskrit Pandit, he can find so many names. But here it's taken as one. Udbhava is a name in itself. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Prabhava, sambhava, udbhava. They all have the same meaning. So he who is the source of the moon. Yes, so that verse is Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. Krishna says, I am the source of everything. So why in particular are we discussing the source of everything? Means he's the source of the moon also. So why say separately? Just to draw attention to that fact, because the moon is very important. The moon is, of course in modern life people live in cities and there are neon lights and they don't see the moon or they don't register the moon. But in more rural settings, then it makes a difference. Just like now, today is Purnima, so last night it was very bright at night, and on the Amavasya night it's very dark at night. And then Pushnami Choshadhi Sarve Somo Bhutvarasatmakaha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I become the moon which is the giver of life to the vegetables. So those who are cultivating crops, they know that the moon is very important, and certain crops have to be sowed at a certain time, particularly according to the Tithi or the lunar day. Only certain crops are to be sowed to get the best result or to get any result. So both Shankara and Sri Bhatta, the Ramanuja Sampradaya commentator on this, say that this refers to the moon who is generated from the Milky Ocean. The milk ocean. From the milk ocean, so many things were generated. So the moon was also generated. You say, well, the moon's always there. Well, many things are also there. Lakshmi was also generated from the milk ocean. She's also eternal. But she was apparently had an appearance within time. Krishna is also eternal, but he's Nanda Sambhava. He appears from Nanda. One other commentator, just to give some idea of how those who meditate on this, then Krishna, who's within the heart, gives intelligence how to analyze in different ways. Amrtamsudbhavah, that is very clearly and easily broken down into the three words. Amrita, meaning nectar, Angshu, meaning rays, and Udbhava, meaning the source of. So it's a very clear meaning what that is. Well, understand that Amritangshu is a name for the moon. If you didn't know, if one is not part of that culture, that Sanskrit literary culture, then one wouldn't know that. Just like another name for the moon that's coming up now, that Sasabinduh. It means rabbit point. It's a name for the moon. So, if I say in English to the average Englishman, rabbit point, they will have no idea we're talking about the moon. Or if we say the one marked, the more common name is Shashanka. That comes up in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remember that shlok? Na Shashanka Napavakaha. There's no need of the moon and no need of the Pavaka, that should be the wind. Pavan is the wind. So, in the English-speaking culture, they talk about the man on the moon, and in Sanskrit, it's spoken about the rabbit. Shashanka literally means rabbit mark. Or Anka means a line. So marked with. So when people in England look at the moon, they think there's a man on there. And people in India look, they think there's a rabbit, marked with a rabbit. So in Vedic culture it's understood. Amritangshu, nectar rays, as may be differentiated from the sun's rays, which are not like nectar. If we sitting here in the cold, at least for Tamil Nadu this is cold, but in England this would be considered a very pleasant day, very warm, nice day. Maybe in Russia also. Now in Tatarstan must be -20, -30. Unimaginable to people who live here. So the cold rays, the cooling rays are considered very pleasant, but the sun's rays are very powerful and hot. It doesn't feel like nectar, so this is very cooling. So another interpretation, he uses the word Amrit to mean liquid. So in a general way, Amrit can mean water. So sometimes water is just like nectar, especially on a very hot day. Then to drink some water seems just like nectar. And Amrit also, and water can also be considered Amrit, because if you don't, Amrit means not dead, not death. So if you don't drink water, you are dead. So in that sense, it gives life. So, and Angshu, he takes in another meaning to mean to distribute. And then Udbhava means giving life. So he takes this to mean that the Supreme Lord Vishnu distributes or gives life via water. So the life appears through water. Of course, everything himself, he lies on the Karanodak, the water of causation. But also we find that the child in the womb is sitting in a liquid situation, and water is required for generation. So he gives another meaning. And then the next name is Bhanuh, which is a fairly well known name of anyone. We're talking about the moon. So Bhanu means the sun. It's also a name of a son, S-O-N, of Krishna. Bhanu, Prabhanu. The sun also being a very significant devata and a very significant factor in everyone's existence, has many names in Sanskrit, and these all they derive from Vishnu and they can be applied to Vishnu. Someone has many names who has many qualities, many forms, many activities. So the sun, this name Bhanu, the particular quality is who shines, who is lustrous, who is radiant. So these are the qualities, that's the basic quality of the sun. And then there are others also, who scorches, who gives heat, who gives life to all the planets, who gives sight, yat chaksharesha savita sakala grahanam, who's the eye. The sun is considered the eye, E-Y-E, not I. You might be misunderstood. Can be misunderstood. He is the eye of all the worlds, because without the sunlight we can't see anything. So, of course, some other light may be required, but the sunlight in particular. So the sun is also compared to knowledge, and in so many ways, because seeing, physically seeing and understanding, they are similar. So the sun is Krishna is compared to the sun in that respect also. Krishna Surya Samamaya Hoy Andhaka. In the darkness we cannot see. We're in ignorance, foolishness, ignorance, in illusion. So the sun is that which shines, the basic quality of the sun. So Krishna shines. Krishna is always shining bright, not dull. Devotees should reflect the sunlight of Krishna. Devotees should be bright-faced, not dull-faced. Dull-faced means dull consciousness. Bright-faced means bright consciousness. Many years ago, I've told this a few times. Long time back I heard this. When our devotees in America, they used to distribute many books in the airports in America. So they would be dressed in regular secular clothes, means pants and shirt with a hat. And the security guards they dressed like that because the security guards would try to apprehend them and throw them out, because they didn't want them to distribute books in the airport and take the money from the travelers. They want the shopkeepers, and they wanted to take their money, and not that they give their money to the Hare Krishna devotees. So devotees were in that way incognito, and among so many people it's difficult to find them. So that was new guards. They were trained that if you see someone with a hat and a very bright shining face and a smile, immediately arrest them. It's a Hare Krishna devotee. They're shining like the sun. There's one film made called Brilliant as the Sun, based on the Krishna Swadhamopagate Dharma Jnana Dibisaha Kala Nashta Drishamesha Purana Akadunodita. In the darkness of Kali Yuga, Krishna is gone. Krishna is just like the sun. He's gone. Dharma, Jnana, they've gone. He's gone back to his own abode. I saw one translation in which it said that Krishna went back to Dwarka. He went to Pravas. He went to Pravas. Some Acharya's commentary like that. So, somehow at the time of this being spoken, it was presumed that Krishna was there. So people who have lost their vision in the dense darkness of this age of Kali will get light from this Purana, Bhagavat Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Arka. Arka is the name of the sun, another name of the sun, which dispels the darkness. So Krishna is all brightness. Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's stated in Chaitanya Bhagavat, that this is Krishna in the Bhagavatam is Krishna in the form of a book. So in various ways, Krishna is just like the sun, very bright. In fact, he's brighter than many millions of suns, but this Vishvarupa is when Krishna showed his Vishvarupa, then more bright than millions of suns. So you have to have very good eyes, divine eyes to see. Now you may say, well then the Vishvarupa, that's more than Krishna. He only shows that for a short time, and then he must get exhausted, and then again he goes back to being Krishna. He can't show it for a very long time. It's a lot of effort to show the Vishvarupa. So then he has to come back to being just plain old Krishna. So that may be one understanding, that the Vishvarupa is the best, because it's the greatest and the most bright and the most powerful and the most scary. Well, maybe it is if that's what you consider to be great, but Krishna himself likes to be Krishna more. He likes to be friendly with his devotees. Even though he's so great, he likes to be very close to his devotees, so he appears and acts in many ways as if he's ordinary. And thus he may be misunderstood. Kritavan kila karamani saharamena keshava atimatyani bhagavan guha kapatamanasha. He performs many pastimes. Keshava performs many pastimes with Balaram, and just although he's above all persons of this world, he is masked and appears to be like an ordinary person. But actually he's more brilliant than the sun. To call him Bhanuh, the effulgent sun, it's indicative. You may say, well, the sun's much brighter than Krishna. Actually, Krishna's, there are millions of suns and millions of universes. There are millions of universes, and all of them are generated from Krishna. So he's much brighter than any sun. But he restrains his show of opulence just to be like us. So to say he's the sun, it's only indicative, because the sun is insignificant in relationship with Krishna. The sun derives his brightness from Krishna. Yadaditya gato tejam jagad bhasa ayate kilam yad chandramasi yad shagno tat tejo vidhimamakam. The light of the sun, the light of the moon, the fire, all comes from Krishna. So this name, Sasabinduh, the moon. The impression of the moon is there. So again, there are many names. Because the sun and the moon, and they have many names, and many of these names appear in Vishnu Sahasranama. So, Chandrangshu, that was there in the previous verse. The moon, the moon who has rays, or the rayed moon, the moon rays, these are all names for Krishna. So, Krishna is compared. And there are also this, and many, many names. So he's like the moon. Another interpretation is, Shasha means, I can't understand the Sanskrit derivation, but Shasha Plutagato, those who go from the right path. And Bindu derived from Bidhi, that would be Bindu, means to disown. So one who rejects the evil-minded, those who do not follow the right path, Krishna rejects them. Yayatamang prapadyante tanastataiva bhajamyaham. You want to be a rascal? Okay, go be a rascal, but I'm having nothing to do with you. Krishna disowns. He doesn't give up. He still tries to help them, but he doesn't identify with them. He doesn't give them credence. He doesn't support them. And then that's Bhatta, and then Shankara says the moon, and then Satyadevo Vashishta. He has many, that Shasha again, one which moves around. And then and for Bindu he takes that from one who knows. From, that would be like Vindu actually. Vindu, vid. So, one who knows, in this case, the paths of everything that moves, and particularly the planets, the stars, so one who knows and controls the movements of all the planets and stars. It may seem like a somewhat stretched interpretation, but this kind of thing is common in Sanskrit. What would be the name for that? Literary criticism, or yes, we can find all kinds of meanings, and that's fine. That's because the aim here is not exactly to play with the Sanskrit language as to glorify Krishna. So that's the point there. Then the next name is easy name to understand and very common name, Suresvarah, which is more common in the name Suresh. It's a common name in India, both North India and South India. One of the many common. What's that saying? They say this Ramesh, Suresh. That means like some ordinary people. How do they say that? I often hear Basu Ghosh say that. In English they say Tom, Dick and Harry. Rajesh, Ramesh, Suresh. It means just like Amlok, just ordinary, all the ordinary people. So it's a common name, but it's a name of Krishna. That comes in Gita also, Suresh. That name comes in again in the Vishvarupa chapter. Then, in so many places. Yam Brahma Varanendra Rudra Marutasana. No, not in that. Some other verse I'm not thinking of. So Sureshva means the Lord of the gods. The Sura means the demigods, generally understood to mean the demigods. Sura as opposed to Asura, the demons. Sura means those who they can drink somaras. They're allowed to do. The Asuras are not allowed. They may be very qualified in many ways, but they're not allowed. They don't have that facility. One of my godbrothers, Suresvarah, the Das Prabhu, he said that when Srila Prabhupada gave him that name, he told him, this is a name for Lord Brahma. And often the name Suresh is given in relation to Indra. But ultimately the Suresh is Krishna. And Sura can also mean devotee, Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva. And that's another qualification of the demigods, is that they are devotees. The Asuras, they are not. In many ways they're very similarly qualified. If we find from the Bhagavatam, the demons are also very powerful and good looking and sensually well equipped. It seems that this Earth planet, it's for all this Earth planet, the living beings here, the humans forms here, they're very weak and unintelligent and less qualified compared to the both the demigods and the demons, on other planets. But the core difference between the demigods and the demons, demons here referring to the asuras, daityas and danavas, they mostly fall in those groups. They are, well, that's their family line. Is that the demigods, they recognize Vishnu as supreme. And the demons don't. Even if the demons know that Vishnu is supreme, they think that they can plot and overthrow him, or somehow sidestep him, just like Kamsa was saying that, well, now I'm in charge of everything because Vishnu's retired out of fear. No, it was Hiranyakashipu. He's retired out of fear to everyone's heart. And Lord Shiva's just off meditating. And Brahma anyway gave me benedictions. No, that was... I'm getting mixed up here between Kamsa. And then some of the demons, they want to kill Vishnu. They actually think they can do. And Sura also means devotee. In the full sense. I mean, demigods, they are sakama bhaktas. They like to serve Krishna, but they have some agenda of their own also. They don't read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anya Bhilashita Shunyam. Then they're not very interested in that. They have their own agenda, but they worship Krishna. They're pious people. So Krishna is the Lord of the devotees. Just as he rejects those who go in the wrong path, as we heard in the line. Rejects means he doesn't identify with them, he doesn't give them any special mercy. He gives that to the devotees. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatang priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam yena mam upayanti te. Because yeyatamang prabhadyante tangstataiva bhajameham. Because he reciprocates with everyone accordingly. The demons want to forget him, okay. Well, I'll forget you too. Maybe not fully, because Krishna is suhridam sarva bhutanam. But if the demons, they don't want Krishna, then he doesn't give them any special mercy by which they can come to him. So another way to break down this word sura is one who brings or bestows sumin shobhana, everything that is good, all that is auspicious and beautiful. And ra somehow is given here dana, the giving, so one who gives all good or auspicious things. So he is the Lord of all those who do good things, all who act in auspicious ways. All right, any question about that? Any comment? Bhanumati, yeah, but that's, Bhanumati means simply possessed of. Possessed of, just like Shaktiman, Shaktimati, so that's female form. It's, Shaktiman is male form, Shaktimati is female form. So Bhanumati means one who has the quality, female who has the qualities of the sun. That should be a name of Yamuna or any daughter of the sun. Bhanu. And also means she who's one who shines brightly, who has that quality. That's a fairly common girl's name, eh? Still? Demons in the upper planetary systems. Well, they're trying to get there all the time, but the demigods are always pushing them down. They don't like to stay in their own place. They're always off to conquer somewhere else. Just like sending rockets to the moon and Mars. They're not content with making a mess of this planet, but they want to go and export their nonsense everywhere else also. So this idea we should take over and conquer, and they're not satisfied where they are. You can sit peacefully and chant Hare Krishna and then go back to Godhead, but they're not. They're envious. They're in the lower planetary systems and they have immense facility for sense gratification, but they're envious of the demigods. And they want to show themselves better. And even though it's described in Bhagavatam that the lower planetary systems, no, we're not talking about the hellish planets, but we're talking about Sutala, Vitala, these planets, they're actually more opulent than the heavenly planets. But the demons always, they have this sense of rivalry against the demigods, and they feel unhappy to see the demigods happy. And therefore they want to give them suffering. Demoniac mentality. Why should anyone else prosper? Even if it's the same Duryodhana and Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira, he was entitled to the whole throne, but he said, okay, let's take half each. And Duryodhana couldn't tolerate. He couldn't tolerate to be number two. When Yudhishthira was on the throne, he felt great distress at seeing Yudhishthira in such opulence. He's so envious. It comes from the same desire that I should be the best. Don't let anyone else come up. This is the demoniac attitude. So we should be careful in spiritual life also. Our attitude, which we should be happy to see others come up and flourish in Krishna consciousness. Not take it as a means. That can also be a means to promote myself. I'm the biggest, I'm the greatest. This is all non-devotional way of thinking. Yeah, anything else? Konark is a temple of the sun. How is that derived? Kona means corner. Is it at the edge of India? Is that the reason?
Kona means corner.
The corner, yeah. Arka means the sun. That was a sun temple until it was destroyed by who? Muslims? Their usual cultural contribution wherever they go is destroying all the temples. In that book, the India they saw, the Muslim writers, they would actually write that this is, amazing craftsmanship and architecture that we can't imagine, and it seems like it's done by a spirit from some other place, and all glories to the great Sultan who came in and by the grace of God destroyed it all. Very perverse way of thinking. They understand that it's better than anything they could never have imagined it, and then they think, oh, it's good we destroyed it. It's envious mentality. Has anyone been to the Ellora? Here, been to Ellora caves or what's that? Elephanta or something near Bombay? Elephanta? Yeah. Has anyone been there? You went there? You went inside the cave? Oh, I see. I've never been there, but mostly the tourists from the West, they come and see Taj Mahal and all the Ajanta and all that. I never went in all these years. But there are so many descriptions. The Europeans are just amazed at this, at these caves, how they've made so much design out of the rock. Because if you're making a statue out of the rock inside the cave, if you make a mistake, the whole thing's spoiled. But they're just perfect. But again, the Muslims decided it would be better if these things weren't there, so they destroyed a lot of it. Those were Buddhist icons. Is that near to Nagar? Yeah, that's. I was thinking. I forgot I should go there.
When we go there, we'll go to Mahabalipuram also. There also.
It's also carved out of the rock.
But mainly Mahabharata. Arjuna's
Mm-hmm.
all stories of Mahabharata.
Mm.
Now they have made it a tourist spot, but it's a place of Vishnu temple. One temple was there, it went inside the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
One Alvar also took place there.
Mm-hmm. So it's a Divya Desham, is there?
It's a Divya Desham, but now the temple is inside the ocean.
I see.
The one Bhuvaraha temple is called.
Mm-hmm.
It's near Bhakti.
Bhuvaraha, yeah, because the Lord is lifting the earth out of the ocean.
One of them.
So, Hare Krishna. Anything else? Hare Krishna.